This is London.
Well, cheers, Mr. Willis. Happy days, my boy.
Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America, presents Edward R. Murrow in See It Now, the entire half hour originating in London in the days immediately preceding the coronation of Elizabeth II.
Good evening. We're standing on a rooftop just near Marylebone Road and Harley Street. The weather is warm and moist. This is a city that I know and love, the place where I left all of my youth, much of my heart. And in the course of the next few minutes, we're going to take you around London to see some of the city and some of its people as they prepare for the coronation. From this rooftop to Richard C. Hottelet.
This is Waterloo Station in London, and we're meeting one of the innumerable boat trains which brings tourists up from the large ocean liners docking at Southampton a few hours away. It's just about 10 years ago that Americans started landing in England in large numbers, but they were different kind of Americans. They wore uniforms, and they came over here to do a job. They came over, as a matter of fact, in such large numbers that the story went around England that if any more were to come, the island would sink. Well, they're coming in again, and they're coming in what seem to be almost equally large numbers for the coronation. A different kind of person, to be sure, a tourist. And here we've met four young ladies who are over here. Why?
Oh, to see the coronation.
Definitely.
Well, just like most tourists.
Absolutely.
And now I can tell where you're from, but pinpoint it for me. Where are you from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
11:26 should be,
11:26?
but she hasn't announced it yet, so it must be running late.
And is that the best
Top end, yes.
than here?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
If you don't see them up there, come down here and see them come out with their luggage.
You are over here, too, mainly for the tour or mainly for the coronation?
Both.
Both. How do you expect to enjoy the coronation?
Oh, I'll have a wonderful time.
Have you got seats?
Yes.
You know, they're not very easy to get. Where are you going to sit?
Near Piccadilly Square.
By golly, you'll be right in the middle. What are you looking for most?
Well, I should like to see the public buildings here. I want to see Westminster Abbey. I want to see the Queen in that wonderful coach. The party with the Queen. All those people will interest me very much.
Now, one of the first things that travelers from America see when they get off the boat train in Waterloo Station in London is the friendly and helpful face of this gentleman of Treasure Tours. Now, tell me, have you had any especially funny things happen to you in the last few weeks of the rush coming in?
Yes, I did. Only a few weeks ago, a lady came in, and when she got off, I got all her luggage, and she come straight out the cloakroom on the train. She said, "Oh, my God, I've left my corsets in the lavatory." That's the truth.
The Waterloo Station, over to Ed Murrow at Whitehall.
We're looking down the Thames River from Whitehall. It has been called the River of Liquid History. That's the Waterloo Bridge. On the left, Somerset House, where all the records of births and deaths and wills are kept. The law courts. That's St. Bride's Church, built by Wren, and just behind it, the Old Bailey. And St. Paul's Cathedral. There are many ways to see London. One of the best is walking. Another is on the Thames, and Howard Smith made a trip from Greenwich to Westminster Bridge while I traveled on the top of a station wagon. What follows now is part of Smith's report and also mine. Now down to Howard K. Smith on an excursion boat on the Thames.
Okay, Ed.
The Royal Naval College at Greenwich, where centuries of Englishmen have learned to rule the waves. Behind it, the structure you see in the background on the hill is a distinctive one. That's the Greenwich Royal Observatory. That is the center of the world map, 0 degrees longitude. For 3 shillings and sixpence, about 60 cents, you can take a boat ride down the Thames and see the skyline that is probably not the biggest skyline, not the highest skyline in the world, not even the prettiest skyline in the world, but the one that has, I'm sure, more history per long yard than any other skyline in the world. In that small dockside tavern, Charles Dickens lived and wrote Great Expectations. Those are hallowed stairs. There the Pilgrims first descended into the Thames and climbed into the Mayflower for the first time. Later, the ship went to Plymouth, and from there they left for America.
We are now approaching Buckingham Palace. That's the Queen Victoria Monument directly ahead of us. Buckingham Palace, frequently referred to by Londoners as Buck House. The iron grillwork has been freshly gilded. It was over on the right wing there that the German bomb hit. We're now on the same route that the Queen's coach will take when she goes to her coronation, swinging around this big circle in front of Buckingham Palace, almost completely surrounded by the stands. Now we're turning into the Mall, and these arches that you see above the Mall are lighted up at night. That's the crown that is suspended right over the center of the Mall.
What the Statue of Liberty is to New York, what the Eiffel Tower is to Paris, Tower Bridge is to London, the trademark.
We're now approaching Admiralty Arch. The Queen's carriage will pass through the center arch, the one that is now closed. A few cars, a few bicycles, mostly pedestrians walking very quietly on this hot summer day. We're now passed through the arch. From here, the procession will carry on to Charing Cross and then down the embankment.
Off on the left is the Tower of London, one of the oldest castles in the world. On that site, Julius Caesar once built a fortress. William the Conqueror started this present tower, which has been added to for 10 centuries. Down below it, on the banks, you see the Bloody Tower. Here the heads of many English noblemen in the Elizabethan period rolled. Here the crown jewels are kept, and here the beefeaters, the colorful men who wear uniforms like portraits on playing cards, reign.
Westminster Abbey. A special entrance has been constructed, and as you can see, special hoarding has been put up to keep people from entering the Abbey. As the Queen leaves the Abbey, she will see Big Ben, and with a clean face, too, rising above the Houses of Parliament.
And these are, of course, the Houses of Parliament, the famous Houses of Parliament where the House of Lords and the House of Commons meet, and where Big Ben tolls out the quarter hours and hours. The Houses of Parliament is a mere 100 years old, but it's built around a great hall called the Westminster Hall, which is almost 1,000 years old, built by the son of William the Conqueror.
Turn into Whitehall. Directly ahead is the cenotaph, the memorial to Britain's war dead. That's Downing Street on our left. At number 10, the Prime Minister's residence. It's actually something like a blind alley. It doesn't go anywhere. Only about 120 yards long. Directly ahead in Trafalgar Square, Lord Nelson atop his column. Now to Petticoat Lane. Ned Kelmer reporting.
Ed, this is Petticoat Lane in the heart of East End London. You can buy anything here from bicycles to beeswax, You can buy stuff which is stolen, stuff which is legitimate, but all of it's cheap. In fact, it's the cheapest place to shop in London. In some countries, this would be called a flea market, in Paris or in Rome. But nobody in England calls it anything but Petticoat Lane.
The last one I got 15 bob. Here, I'm going to give you a treat this morning. It is my birthday. I'm getting married tomorrow. The last one or two I got here, 14 shillings. Here, I've got the last two. I'm putting jokes on. I don't want the pictures. I want to take some money. One or two more girls, a straight line bag here for you. I've got one in red and one in black, 15 bob. Any more, 15 shillings.
I saw more cars this market than any store over in London. I'm here 52 Sundays in a year, and if you're dissatisfied with these cards, bring them back and your money returned and your expenses paid on top.
Good old England! Hooray, old England! On the Derby, the greatest race of the year. God save the Queen and may a horse win, and there will be a cheer through the whole world. Then there is a horse called Good Brandy, come from America, and they lost the Derby by a short head with Prince Simon. Then there is Gordon Richard, a jockey and a half. He rides them all home, and he's trying his best now to win the Derby. And there's another horse with 4 legs, and God made the bees. The bees make the honey. The soldier did the dirty work. The bookie takes the money.
Now from a London street, back across the Atlantic to Studio 41, and a word from Alcoa.
This line crew in the hills of West Virginia is making news. They are putting up the highest voltage electric transmission line ever built in America, putting it up with the largest transmission cable ever supplied for overhead use, Alcoa cable. Designed to carry 330,000 volts, this 66-mile line of Alcoa's expanded ACSR, aluminum cable, steel reinforced, will link together 2 giant generating stations, will mark for the American gas and electric system the beginning of a new mammoth network of electric power that eventually will sprawl over hundreds of miles and 7 states. Alcoa has been making aluminum electrical conductors to carry electricity for nearly 60 years, ACSR for over 40 years. 20 years of research and development work with public utility engineers went into expanded ACSR before this line could be built. Today, more than half of all the high voltage lines in the United States, over 2 million miles, are built with Alcoa cable. The expanded ACSR is the latest result of these years of experience. A cable large enough to handle the super voltages demanded today, to handle them safely and economically. Alcoa's expanded ACSR is light and strong. This means longer spans, fewer towers, less construction costs, an ability to withstand storm conditions, a high safety factor. A vital part of the highest voltage line ever built in America, Alcoa's expanded ACSR is one more example of how Alcoa, since 1888, has continued to meet its responsibilities as the nation's first and leading producer of a vital metal, aluminum, by Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America. Now back to Ed Murrow in London.
And now we'll take you down one of the most historic roads in England, the Old Kent Road, which goes past Canterbury Cathedral, where Howard Smith went the other day to give you some idea of what coronation celebrations are like in an English village.
Enrolled on the charter roll in the 8th year of the illustrious Edward, the 4th of that name, on the 24th of January, in the year of our Lord 1469, within the octave of our patron St. George. God save the Queen.
This is, as you've just heard in such handsome language, the village of Elam in the county of Kent, 90 miles from London. They're preparing for their coronation fair, and Colonel Harrowing is the chairman of the coronation committee. Colonel, may I interrupt you? Pardon me. Could you tell us something about the preparations? What do you plan to have on this festival
Well, we started
day?
this festival exactly a year ago, on the 2nd of June, 1952.
Well, what is going to happen on that day?
Well, we're having a trial And a woman has been tried. She's a scolding wife, and she's going to be ducked in a ducking pool.
It was a crime then to be a scolding wife, was
It certainly was, sir.
What a very good idea.
Yes, isn't it? But it's not now.
And you say she's going to be ducked, so
Yeah.
you know she's guilty.
Oh, yes.
That's
That's part of the game, that
That's
is.
very smooth and efficient justice.
Yeah.
And is anyone else to be
Yes,
tried?
a man is being tried, and he is going to be put in the stocks.
And how long does he have to stay in stocks?
Well, I believe the story is that Queen Elizabeth comes out of the local inn where she's had her lunch.
Now that's not nearly good enough. I want to hear the cheer. Majesty, permit me. Villagers, when good Queen Bess deigns to come to the village of Elam, let's give her a proper welcome. That cheer wasn't any good. Your Gracious Majesty, would you let us again try to welcome you as we should?
What is your name, young man?
Robin Fleet, Your Majesty.
And what offence are you guilty of? I've a mind to release you, especially this day Elam hath entertained us so well. Have you a mind for adventure, young man?
Give me but the chance, Your Majesty, and I will fight until death for my queen.
See that you join my ship, the Grenville, laying at Dover. No more of your nonsense, mind, though. Away with you.
Now back to Ed Murrow.
No report from London would be complete without showing you the inside of a London club. This is the Savile in Brook Street. This is a club made up largely of artists, writers, architects, even a few broadcasters. It's rather informal as London clubs go, and as you will notice this long table here, when a member comes in alone, he is practically required to sit at the long table and engage in conversation with his fellow club members. It's raining outside today, but in good weather, some of the members sit outside there in the afternoon and have their coffee. We're sitting here in the billiard room of the Savile Club in Brook Street, and sitting beside me is Sir Compton Mackenzie. And I'm not quite sure how to describe Compton Mackenzie, a writer, a lecturer, broadcaster, television performer. Is that adequate, Compton?
Yes, that's very adequate. Yes, that's adequate.
Oh, tell me, what do you regard as the primary function of a London club?
Well, I think the primary function of a London club should be to bring people together in conversation, and that we try to do here. Mind you, that's not true of most London clubs. I think this is more like one of your New York clubs, as I remember them 40 years ago.
I think it is indeed rather more informal.
Far more informal. Everybody talks to everybody else. We don't recognize junior members. A junior member is expected to talk, you see, to a senior member. He's not expected to sit there quietly, and senior members aren't expected to sit behind newspapers making faces over them, the top of them. And it has been, you know, one of the first members of the old Savile Club. It was called the Savile Club because it was originally in Savile Row,
yes,
as you may know. And Robert Louis Stevenson, you see, it was his great club. It's what he loved best in England. I mean England, not Scotland.
Yes.
In England. And his last letter, indeed, was about the Savile and how you met people in the Savile and didn't even know, as one did, and became very intimate even without knowing people's names, which is
Yes.
true. And that, I think, does give the motto of our club, convivium and sodalitas, conviviality and companionship.
Thank you very much, Sir Compton Mackenzie. In the pubs in this country, they play darts and occasionally ping-ball games. But in the clubs, they play billiards or snooker. And here with me at the snooker table in the Savile Club is an old friend of mine, John Snagg. John is the man whose voice you will be hearing talking from the Abbey during the coronation. One of the most responsible positions that a broadcaster ever occupied. Are you worried about it, John?
It's the worst job I've ever had to do, but the one I wouldn't miss. That's really what it amounts to. It's, I think I'm proudest of doing this than any other job I've done in the BBC in the whole of my time.
John, what will you actually say when the crown is placed on the Queen's head?
I'm not absolutely certain. In my own mind, I think I know what I want to say, but it's not in accordance with the actual Book of the Rules as it's laid down, because the Book of the Rules says that the Archbishop reverently places the crown upon the Queen's head, and then goes on to say that the peers and peeresses put on their coronets and caps, and the kings of arms their crowns, and the Queen is acclaimed. My own view is that it ought to be brisker and shorter than that. It ought to be, according to the rubric, the Archbishop reverently lays the crown upon the Queen's head, and the Queen is crowned.
That's your shot, Doc.
All right.
This is Paul Niven at Marble Arch, the famous Speaker's Corner of Hyde Park. Politicians, leaders of religious cults, and just plain crackpots come here to Speaker's Corner to plead their causes and be heckled.
My object this afternoon is to show you an entirely new invention. The housing position in this country is terrible. I mean by building houses one brick at a time. Now, friends, you cannot build houses like that today. But I want to point out, friends. I wish you'd sit on the point. That between your inner wall and your outer wall. And your outer wall. Shut your big mouth.
Said I had Big Ben strike 9. And the announcer said in a few moments you will hear the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Winston Churchill. This great man and I are nothing in common except we are masters of the English vocabulary.
My friend, the last time that I spoke to you, I warned you of the great peril. We're alone. Oh, we're alone. Hitler, we're alone. We are the British. Come, we are ready. Little does Hitler know that we have never been defeated in 1,000 years. And if he dares to land here, we shall fight him on the beaches, in the streets, up the alley, and down the alley. If necessary, we shall fight him, even if they ascend the chimney.
A gentleman here has just asked me my views of the American Senator, Senator McCarthy. Even in the United States, you have monstrosities of assault. And I regard Senator McCarthy, especially when he sends his snoopers. For McCarthy, what a psychological failure of this brilliant senator with such a lot of claptrap to send two stooges here. The tragedy is that Senator McCarthy didn't come himself. I warned Senator McCarthy. That if he sets foot on British soil, we shall give him in the good old British way the raspberry.
We are in the store of Phil Samuels, wet and dry fishmonger in Stepney, East London. Phil, can I interrupt you just a minute there? You're hard at work, I know, but tell me, how is business good here just before coronation?
Yes, fairly good, yes.
People buying a lot of fish for their big coronation meal?
Yes.
How's the price? Can they afford to buy a lot of fish?
Not as much as they would like to buy.
What kind of...
The price is a little bit too high.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
What kind of fish are they buying most of?
Haddock, plaice, bream, halibut, such the cheap kind of fish. It is hard. It is hard for them to make ends meet, I think.
Why is the price of fish so high?
As I said, the monopoly, there's a monopoly. They keep the prices high and the supplies low.
Well, is fish going to be taking the place of meat in coronation dinners?
Oh, yes, definitely. There's not enough meat.
Not enough meat. Fish is not rationed, though.
No.
So that people buy fish where they would ordinarily buy meat. Well, look, the last time I was out here was in October of '52 for the
big general election, when Mr. Churchill became Prime Minister again, I talked to a lot of people who said they were afraid that he might bring war and high prices and the rest. Have things turned out as badly as people had feared then?
Well, there's always been the threat of war and the prices are high. So,
will the Labour government do any better?
That's a hard thing to say. We can't say that, can we? We don't know.
Well, now, if you had a chance to vote again, would you vote for the Conservatives or for Labour?
No, Labour, definitely.
Have you had it? Yes, I think I'm with you here. £9, Jersey Newans. Jersey Newans at 9. Come on down, what do you like now?
Mr. Murrow, could I just interrupt this transaction to ask you, how are you going to celebrate Coronation? What are you going to do?
Oh, well, we're going to have a good beer, aren't we? Everybody else, I think. We're going to have a good time and chant it.
Well, are you going to have a good time at home, or are you going to go to a pub, or are you going to go out to the West End?
Oh, no, I think we'll be at home and with the kiddies. We'll decorate the streets all out. The kids are all having a party. We've been saving up for over 12 months from collecting, and we've got everything prepared for a nice party for the children for the Coronation Day. And, of course, after 8 o'clock at night, the mums and fathers, they get to it. So we'll have a jolly good time, I hope, and chant it. And I think everybody in the audience here will be agreeing with me in the same way. We're going to do our best.
Well, you know what working class people are. We like to take our hats off now and again, and I certainly think for this young Queen, I think they're going to have a real right do. She's ever so popular. And I certainly think that people are going to have a real good time. A real how-do, you know. What they call a humdinger.
That is Broadcasting House, the headquarters of the BBC, and on Coronation Day, about 19 transmissions will be going out of there simultaneously. To the right is All Souls in Langham Place. This is what is left of Queen's Hall, a place where great music was made before a German bomb struck it. London continues to rebuild. The music you hear now is that of air hammers and men striking old bricks with picks. That's the end of our report from London in the week before the coronation. It's only a partial report. It's a big city and a lot of people. It's gray and it's battered, but it's still very proud, and never prouder than it has been during the past week. It remains only to say on behalf of our cameraman, Charlie Mack and Bill McClure, and those of us this report for you, good night and good luck.
See It Now is edited and produced by Mr. Murrow and Fred W. Friendly, and is presented by Aluminum Company of America. Wherever and whenever you think of food, think of Wherever aluminum foil. It keeps vegetables garden fresh. It locks in just the flavor you want, locks out all others. Leftovers stored in foil can be heated in the same foil, several at a time, in one pan. Used in broiling, Wherever foil means tastier food. Baked potatoes and baked apples can be cooked and served in the same foil. Handy Wherever aluminum foil saves time, saves work, saves storage space. No messy pans to scour, makes homemaking easier. It saves food and makes food taste better. Friendly to food, Wherever aluminum foil is a member of the same family as the Wherever utensils, which have been famous in America's kitchens for generations. So remember, wherever and whenever you think of food, think of Wherever aluminum foil.
Sunday's Ed Sullivan's Toast to the Town on the CBS television network.